What's up everybody, Jason from Jason's Exotic Reptiles back at you with another video. In this video, we're going to cover essential products that any reptile keeper or breeder need to have. The first products go without saying, and that is caging. Whether that be racks, PVC enclosures, or some glass terrariums, you need to have a place to put the animals and to breed these animals if you're a breeder. Now, I like racks, and I do have some PVC enclosures, some old Vision cages, but caging is step one. With that caging, you need some type of way to heat that, and you need to have some reliable products. The things that I like to use is different types of heat tape and heat panels like this, in combination with a thermostat. Your thermostat doesn't need to be the most expensive thing on the market. I have a whole video that I did in the past about thermostats, and I think I'll remake that at some point. This specific one and the ones that I've been using lately are Inkbird thermostats. This specific one has Wi-Fi. The ones without Wi-Fi are about $35 on Amazon, or the ones with Wi-Fi are about $50. These guys have a really good bang for your buck, and they work very well. I use them on all of my cages, on my incubator, and I don't really go for those expensive thermostats anymore. They almost all break, and when they fail, sometimes they don't fail with any audible alarm. These Inkbirds have that audible alarm, and it also has a Wi-Fi component that connects to an app. This channel is not sponsored by Inkbird, and I don't have any affiliation with them. They're just what I like to use. I have a cabinet full of these things because as they go, I can replace them. They're inexpensive enough that it doesn't hurt every time I need to replace a thermostat. For $35 or $50, depending on which one you get, you can get a really good thermostat that's going to control your temperatures of your light bulbs, your heat tape, or other types of heat panels that you guys may have. The next essential product, if you're going to be a reptile keeper or breeder, are some type of feeding tongs, because what we want to do is keep our hands away from the bitey end of the snakes. The feeding tongs come in all different types of styles. These are a hemostat type of style. It has a locking clamp. I do like these, and I use these most of the time. If you have some larger animals and you need to keep a little bit more distance, you have these type of feeding tongs. You can hold the prey at the end. They have a nice strong grip, and you can put this animal in the prey, and you can keep a nice safe distance from you and the animal. These come in all different sizes. These hemostats also come in much larger sizes and some smaller sizes, from some small little tweezer things to all the way up to these giant hemostats. These specific ones were given to me by Groveland Gecko, really good people, and if you are looking for any of these supplies, a lot of them are sold there. I'm not affiliated with them, but I do trust the people who they are. They have a good business model, and they're great people, so can't say enough good stuff. If you're looking for some of these tongs and different types of hooks and stuff, they can go maybe provide you what you're looking for. The other one that is not necessarily really needed, but is helpful in tap training snakes, especially if you're going to have some larger animals, are snake hooks. These, again, keep the animal's face away from where your hand is. You can tap them and use the tap training method if you're feeding in the enclosures. Super important when you're getting into some larger snakes, but snake hooks are something that you should keep on hand. Doesn't need to be these small ones. You can get a large one, you can get a smaller one, a collapsible hook. They come in all different varieties and styles. I think snake hooks are something that's essential to have on hand, and if you don't need one, you may need one eventually. So keep them around, and there's something good to have. Now that we've worked through your caging, your heating, your thermostats, your feeding and handling tools, let's talk about disinfectants and cleaning supplies. So some things that I didn't use for a long time, and now I was the only one that really I saw using them, but everybody seems to have them, are gloves. Now, gloves keep the poop off your hands and your hands clean when you take them off. They can also help with different types of protocols. If you're going from animal to animal and you may have some sick animals, you just pull the glove off and you put a new glove on. So gloves, I think, are essential to have. They just kind of keep things more hygienic. The other one is a good cleaning solution. Now, I use chlorhexidine. You can use bleach. You can use F10. I used all these in the past, and a lot of times I use a combination of them. Not together, but we rotate through. So I might use chlorhexidine one week, bleach the next week, F10 the next, and then we'll cycle back around. But this is my go-to. It's fairly inexpensive, and it works really well. It's a veterinary cleaner. It's not harmful to the animals from a fume perspective. So you need to have some good cleaning stuff. And the other component is get yourself some good trash bags. There's nothing worse than trying to cheap out on your trash bag, and all of a sudden you go to pick this thing out, take your trash out, and you're cleaning it up all over the floor again. So I use these heavy contractor bags. You can get them at Home Depot or any other hardware store. those are the ones that I prefer. The next component, which should have been covered in heating, is your temp gun. Now, temp guns, I think, are essential for any reptile keeper or breeder, whether you have 1 animal or 500 animals. You need to know the temperatures of your room. These temp guns are fairly inexpensive. You can get them ranging from $15 all the way up to probably $1,500 plus. This specific one I have here, I got maybe 20 years ago. It still works amazing, and I've bought some cheaper ones in the past. I think I paid $130 for this. It's just something I wanted to get myself a good temp gun, and I purchased this one, but it's lasted me for many, many years. Doesn't work any better than the $15 ones that I have. You can get these at most hardware stores, whether it be Harbor Freight, Home Depot, Lowe's. Generally, you're going to find these things in the electrical section or the tools if you're in a hardware store. Get yourself a temp gun. You can also purchase them from reptile supply stores. However, I found that hardware specific, something that a contractor would use as a tool, is usually more accurate and lasts a little bit longer than something you might get at a reptile store. Another thing that you should always have on hand are different types of mite prevention methods. So I always have this on hand. Now, I don't care if this goes bad and I need to go purchase a new one 10 years later. You need to have this on hand because what you don't want is to be looking for mite prevention or ways to get rid of mites while you have them. And now you're in panic mode looking of how do I get these products as soon as possible before I have this total infestation. So having these guys on hand, whether you need them or not, is something that's just good to get into the habit of. I have these. If anything happens, I can treat it right away and I can stop the spread of mites before it becomes out of hand, and I'm doing way more work than I would have if I had these things on hand. Mites spread really quickly, and in 2 days, it can make a huge difference of treating these things and getting them under control versus struggling with them for months at a time. The last piece that is more of an emergency protocol is things like backup heat sources, or if you can, go for a generator. Generator is always best. At the very least, make sure you have some heat packs on hand. Don't use the hand warmers if you can avoid it, but you should always be having these as just a backup. Again, just like the mite spray, if they go bad, it's fine. It's relatively inexpensive to have different types of heat packs on hand, but if you have a power outage in wintertime, you're going to be in a lot of trouble if you're struggling to find heat sources for it. So have these things on hand. If you're in the summer months, you really should consider buying a small generator, something that's just good enough that can power a small AC unit or a fan or something to cool your room down. Heat can kill way faster than cold can, so make sure that you have some type of alternate power or some way to cool the animals down. You can also, just like the heat packs, buy cool packs or cryogenic packs, I think they're called. We use them a lot for shipping in really hot summer months. I personally don't use them as I always ship around the weather, and I have backup generators here, but if you can invest in a backup generator or at the very least some extra heat packs or cryo packs, that might save you and save your animals if crisis time comes and all of a sudden it's super hot, you have no power, or it's really cold and you have no power. With that said, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this. Make sure you check out my website if you're looking for different animals that are available, jasonsexoticreptiles.com. If you want to learn more, get some more one-on-one communication, or join a community of reptile keepers and breeders, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/jasonsexoticreptiles. And until next video, let's keep it moving.